Hey, Stephanie here with Tuesday Tips. Last week, I asked you to do some self-reflection and see where you might be out of alignment. And you might be feeling a bit of a blow. You might not be showing yourself a little bit of compassion or as much compassion as you should. So this week, I want to ask you, how do you love yourself? I was just watching a video, and I don't know if you're familiar with the author Jay Shetty, but he had done a podcast where he was talking. He had a book. He launched a book, and he was talking. He said something really so insightful, and he said our society is set up to make people feel inferior, make them feel lonely, and I really couldn't agree more. And when you think about it, so much is set up to create division in our world. You know, whether you live in the city or this country or that country, whether you're male or female, whether you're whatever. Take a breath onto that. And here's the thing that I've learned: when you know yourself and when you love yourself for who you are, you're never lonely. You're never alone. And when I did this video, I had brought up, because as Jay Shetty was talking on this podcast, they were talking about when you start dating, sometimes you'll take on the traits of your significant other. And I brought up the movie Runaway Bride, which is the absolute epitome of that to this conversation, where Julia Roberts jilted five guys at the altar, right? And when Richard Gere was doing his investigative research, he asked them all this one question: what kind of eggs did she like? And they always said, same as me. And then when he asked her, she couldn't answer the question because she didn't know herself. So I've got 5 tips on how you can get to know yourself and really love yourself, because you've got to love yourself first before you can love anybody else, right? So tip number one is to take some time, take solitude, stop scrolling social media, unplug the TV, get to know yourself, journal, meditate. I'm sure you do some of this practice already, but really invest the time and do it. My second, I apologize. I totally lost it. My second tip is to make a bucket list of everything you want. And a couple of weeks ago, I had the 3 MIQs, the most important questions. So go back, watch that training. It's on YouTube if you haven't seen it. Go back, ask yourself those questions, meditate on it, journal on it. Okay. Make yourself a bucket list of things you want to do, you want to accomplish, you want to experience in this world, in this life. And then make a date night with yourself and just say no to anything else that comes up. Do not compromise this. Okay. This is about you getting to know yourself, what you like and what you don't like. Number 4 is document your success stories. Even if you didn't enjoy the experience, even let's say you went out and tried a new restaurant. Maybe you never had Indian food before. Maybe you found out you don't like Indian food. Document success. You took yourself out to dinner. You tried something new. You found out you actually don't like it. Or maybe you tried bowling. You fell on your ass and your ball always ended up in the gutter and you ended up with like 10 pins for the whole game. Who cares? It was a success because you took action. Document that. Document your success stories. See how far you've come, because you can't give yourself credit for how far you've come if you don't know. And then my last and final tip. This is my favorite thing to do. And this is when I saw a real shift in my self-worth. And that's to give yourself gratitude every day. Back during the pandemic, I started journaling every morning. I was doing a program and it said to journal for 3 full pages every morning. And that was more free flow or train of thought. But I've graduated from that. I now am doing something a little bit different. It's gratitude and affirmations and things like that. I call it my reprogramming time. And the first thing I do is I thank myself for 3 things, a minimum of 3 things. And it could be as small as making the bed or drinking my body weight in water the day before. Maybe you don't drink water, but maybe you want to start. Maybe you start by saying, thanks for Stephanie. Thank you for switching out your soda for water during lunch yesterday. Or it could be as brave as, thank you for getting vulnerable and sharing that experience that you had as a child and acknowledging that it was super traumatic for you. That happened to me earlier today. I had a realization that this traumatic experience is causing me blocks in a lot of areas of my life, and I hadn't even realized it. So thank you for acknowledging and realizing the impact that that experience had on you and being brave enough to face it. It could be as big or as small as you want, but thank yourself every day for at least 3 things. I go for 5, but start with 3. This is when within 2 weeks, I felt a real shift in my self-worth because nobody thanks you. How often do you get thanked? And who do you get thanked by? So thank yourself. This is the one that has had the biggest, well, they've all had huge impacts on my life. I've done them all. They've all had big impacts in my life. I wouldn't be sharing them if they weren't impactful. Give yourself compassion. Make sure you're loving yourself because we are going to have to face those traumas that we experience. And we do have to face kind of the ugly, not so nice things in our lives in order to grow by leaps and bounds, right? So use this daily. Show yourself compassion, show yourself love. And then when those traumatic things rear their ugly heads, it's not so traumatic anymore. And you can handle it from a very different space and in a healthy way. So that is those are my 5 tips for cultivating self-love. And I am wishing you much success. Have a phenomenal, and if you are having a challenge, please take me up on a business breakthrough session. Because here's the thing, if you don't love yourself, your business is probably suffering in one area or another. So if you're having a challenge and need a little bit of support, please take me up on a business breakthrough session. It's a free 30-minute session where you and I get to talk about whatever the challenge is that you're having. What do you want? What's in the way of it? And I give you my best tips or tricks to move you past the hump. We'll also see if it's a fit to do more work together. And if not, we part as friends. But this free 30-minute business breakthrough session is something that I can't recommend highly enough. It has changed my life, and I'm sure it will change yours too. So take me up on it. Link is in the newsletter. If you're getting this via newsletter, it's in the description if you are watching on YouTube. And until that time when I get to give you a little more support, I am wishing you much success. Have a great day.